Yes, good afternoon, students. Yes, Mahima, Rakshita, Sindhura, good afternoon. Deepika, Naushika, Pujita. Yes, good afternoon, everyone. I hope it is afternoon time, so you have not had your lunch properly and now you are sleeping. I just hope nobody is sleeping at this time. Had lunch properly? Yes. And not sleeping now? Yes. Yes, Sarah, yes for sleeping or not sleeping? No, okay. Fine, fine. Not sleeping. Yes. Sri, you are sleepy? Yes, yesterday there was no class as I was not well, but yesterday I'm in a very good condition. So today we'll just continue with what we were learning. So do you all remember what we were learning? Yes, Zeenath. Ramcharan, yes, bone, yes. Okay, so I think the last part that we studied, it was the structure of bone. We had seen the internal structure, like how the cells are present. So can you just quickly tell me what are bone cells known as? What are bone cells known as? Yes. Yes, TS of bone. Very good. So what are, yes, very good. It is called osteocyte. And what are those cells which make osteocytes or which are also known as bone forming cells? Yes, very good. Osteoblast. And bone destroying cell? Bone destroying cell. Osteoclast. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. And also that day we studied two types of skeleton, na? Endoskeleton and exoskeleton. And I also told you that we have the main skeleton as our endoskeleton. So now in today's class, we are going to start with our skeleton, right? So we are going to, remember and recall the name and also the location of each of the bone that is present in our body. So how many total bones are there? 206. So we are going to now talk about all those 206 bones, right? Okay. So basically, this endoskeleton of ours, we can classify into two, right? One is called the axial skeleton and the other part is known as appendicular skeleton. So as I always say that from the name only you have to understand, right? From the name only you have to understand what we are exactly going to talk about. So axial, it is related to this word axis. And now tell me, in the basics class, you have studied about the axis, na? About the planes and the axis. Yes, did you all study planes and axis? Planes and axis. So tell me, what is axis? What it is? You are telling me yes, but then what it is? Tell me that also. Axis. What is axis? You would have studied in social studies also that Earth rotates around its own axis. है ना? Which, yes, very good, very good. I think Mancha has given the correct answer. It is an imaginary line. Now, how we will remember this? Let's see it in a diagram. So now I will just draw a human body. So a very muscular man you can see over here. Yes. So now in this human body, I know the legs have become very short and the body has become very broad. It's fine, right? Okay. So now in this human body, just imagine a line passing through the center. So this is an imaginary line, right? So this is actually the axis, imaginary line passing through the center of the body, right? Okay. Now all the bones which are attached to this axis, see, it is not a line, it is an imaginary line that you have to imagine. It is passing through the center. So any bone that is touching this axis will become a part of axial skeleton. Let's see for example. So now start from the top. So here you have the head, and here we have which bone? Yes, this full, yes, skull. So can we say that skull is attached to axis? Yes. So skull is a part of axial skeleton. Now come to the lower portion over here. Over here, we have a bone in between. Can you tell me what is that flat bone in between? Here, in between. Come on. No, it's not septum. Yes, very good. Someone has answered. It is sternum. This is sternum, and to this sternum only you have the ribs that are attached. So can we say rib cage is also a part of axial skeleton? Yes, because it is attached to the sternum only, na? Hai na? And now this is the ventral part, right? This term also I don't think it is new for you. This is ventral part, and this back side is the dorsal part, right? So ventrally you have sternum. What do you have dorsally? Which bone is there dorsally? Tell me. Yes, dorsally, back. I have given you the hint, back. Yes, very good. So it is the backbone. So this is the front part. So if you see dorsally, there is a very long bone, that is a vertebral column or the spinal. No, it is not the spinal cord. It is either called as the vertebral column, or in simple terms it is called backbone. Spinal cord is present inside backbone. That I'll tell you today. Right? Spinal cord is, it is a part of your nervous system, and it is present inside the vertebral column. Vertebral column in fact protects the spinal cord. Right? So now these four, they are associated with the axis of the body, and that's why they form a part of axial skeleton. Now let's talk about appendicular. Again, I want all of you all to focus on the word appendicular. That means it is derived from a word called appendages. Heard of this word? Appendages. What are appendages? Yes, Uday, sacrum. I'll tell you now. It is not directly associated with the axis. Okay? It is present around like this. Right? Pelvic bone nahi. Pelvic bone is not associated with the axis. It is present around like this, the hip bone. Right? So about that also I'm going to talk now. Yes. So first of all, tell me, what do you mean by the term appendage? Appendage. Something that arises from the main axis. Very good. So this is the body. Can we say that these two limbs, the hands and the legs, they are like the extensions? Can we say this is the main body, and then these are the extensions of our body, appendages of our body? Yes? Yes. So the limbs, they form the appendicular skeleton. Now in appendicular skeleton, here also we can have two parts of it. One is called your limb bones, and then other one is the girdle. We have girdles, right? So first, talking about limbs, we have two types of limbs. One is forelimbs. What are forelimbs? Forelimbs are nothing but they are the hands, right? These two, these are forelimbs. These are hands. And then we have two hind limbs, which are our legs. Now talking about girdles, right? So here we have two girdles. One is called pectoral girdle. Now pectoral girdle is what? See, here you have sternum. Here also we have two bones, na? Yes, very good. Here this is the collarbone, and in the dorsal portion, you know, now you have this triangular bone over here, right? So this collarbone, and this is the shoulder bone. So these two, they are part of pectoral girdle. And then the second is pelvic girdle. So here in the pelvic girdle, we are going to talk about the hip bone, right? There we are going to talk about the hip bone. Yes, sacrum. Again, we are going to talk over here in the vertebral column, right? You will have to wait for all the names of the bones. Very soon we are going to discuss about it. So are you all clear till here? how the basic division is being done. So basic it is axial skeleton, appendicular. Axial mein what do you have? All those structures, all those bones which are associated with the axis of body. So axis is imaginary line, and to that you have associated the skull. Then you have the sternum. To the sternum, the ribs are present, and then dorsally we have the vertebral column. Talking about appendages, so we have these appendages which are our hands and the legs, forelimb and hind limbs, and also the girdles, that is pectoral and pelvic girdle, right? Yes, Sandeep, this information is there in NCERT. If you read the chapter properly, you will get this information, right? Okay, one more point I would like to add over here, the count of bones, right? So axial skeleton has 80 bones that you will be counting now in this lecture, and the appendicular skeleton, it has 126 bones, that also we will count one by one. So in total, how much it is making up? It will make up 206 bones. Clear? So quickly I want all of you to write this. So today we'll try to discuss skull and vertebral column. Yes, make a note of it quickly. Make a note of it, or you can just take a screenshot of it. Pectoral girdle, I told you, it is the collarbone, here collarbone, and then here we have one triangular bone, that is shoulder bone. Okay, so I think now the board is clear to you. I have moved. Yes, shoulder bone is known as scapula, and your collarbone is known as clavicle. All those terms also I will tell you. Now, to just introduction I have given. Now, one by one in detail we'll do. Yes, done everyone. Shall we start with the skull? Yes. So in horror movies, have you seen skull? Horror videos, horror movies, all that. Have you seen skull? Yes. So how does a skull look like? You like that structure of skull? Yes, so let's start with skull, right? Now the skull has two types of bones, right? One type is called cranial bones, and the other type is called facial bones. Understand, this is very easy. Cranial is this full top part, okay? This full top part bone, and facial is, of course, we have this face, and it is not a very delicate structure from inside. So inside also there are many bones whose name I'm going to tell you today. So all those bones which are there in our face, they will be included in the facial bones, and then all those on the top till here, they will be included in the cranial bones, right? Along with this, there are some other bones also which are called associated bones. So first I'll tell you cranial, then facial, and then those associated bones, right? Together all that is going to make up our skull, right? Okay, so now first let's talk about the cranial bones. So cranial bones, let me write down their names first, then I'm going to tell you the location. So the first one we have frontal bone, right? The one in the front, this forehead is there. Now touch your forehead and see, do you feel any hard solid structure? Yes, of course. Behind the skin you can feel a very hard structure. So that is nothing but that is your frontal bone. So what do you think? How many bones will be here? It is only one. This whole portion, it is one bone. So frontal is one. Then after this, on the top here, right? Here you have which bone? Parietal bone, right? Frontal, and then here these two, there are two bones like this on either sides, they are called parietal bones. Then temporal, Temporal, always remember, temporal is near to the ear, back of ear, right? So you have two ears, so two temporal bones. And then finally this here, this behind portion, there you have occipital bone. Occipital bone is just one here, covering this back portion, that is occipital bone, right? Apart from these, there are two more bones. One of them is called sphenoid, that is just one, and then there is ethmoid, that is again one bone. I will tell you now the locations of it, right? So I hope the board is visible from here. Yes, so I'll just make a diagram. Yes, so this is the side face. Hai? Here there is this eye socket, right? I hope you are able to understand. So now let us see the bones one by one. Let me erase this. Yes. So we are going to make the bones one by one. So in the front here, the one in white, this is which bone? You tell me. This is the front portion, right? You tell me it is which bone. So it is frontal. Yes, okay. Then where is parietal? Parietal, I'll change the color. So somewhere over here, this blue one. So this is just one side, hai na? Other one is present on the other side. So this is side face. So that's why I'm showing only one. So this is parietal, right? Then below parietal, which bone will be there? Tell me. Here, near to the ears. This is temporal, right? And then lastly, this part, this is which bone? This is occipital bone, right? So two parietal, two temporal, and occipital and frontal only one. Now the rest two. Sphenoid you cannot see because it is not present on the top portion like this, right? These are all present making up the outer part, but not sphenoid. How you can observe sphenoid bone is you will have to remove this parietal bones, temporal bone. Then there is brain, hai na? What is the function of the skull? It is protecting your brain. So you will have to remove the bones, remove the brain. Then at the base, you can see this bone that is called sphenoid. So here in this diagram, it is difficult to make, but little bit this bone is visible from the side over here. So I'll just make a small bone over there. So from side, very little portion it is visible, right? Talking about ethmoid, so ethmoid will be visible where? Suppose this is your eye socket. Inside the eye socket, right? I changed the color. So here, when you from these two eye sockets, when you will remove the eyeball, है ना? After removing the eyeball, there you can see a bony structure, and that bone is nothing but that is the ethmoid bone, right? That is the ethmoid bone. Understood everyone the location of these cranial bones? And in total now how many bones are there cranial? Is it 8? Yes, okay. Now can we move towards the facial bones? Now I will show you one more diagram, top view, right? That means you are seeing from the top. So again, all the bones we won't be able to mark. Suppose this is frontal. Then here there will be parietal. Behind there will be occipital bone. Clear everyone? Yes, this part? Yes, okay. So little bit now I'm going to tell you about some of the bones, that out of all these bones, it is the parietal which is the largest. Okay, not in the body. Only I'm talking about this cranial. So out of all these, which one is largest? Parietal. Second thing, a very special point about sphenoid bone. It is the only bone that is connected to all other cranial bones. Okay, it is a very beautiful butterfly shaped bone, and it is the only bone which is connected from all the sides to all the other bones of the cranium, right? Clear everyone? Yes. One more point about occipital bone. This is quite important, right? So how is this occipital bone? Can you see this pink structure over here? Here. Yes, so it is present like this, a little bit curved here, right? So now in this place at the bottom on that bone there is a aperture. Aperture means what? Aperture, what is aperture? That is frontal bone. F stands for frontal. Okay, I have just written the first letter of these. F stands for frontal. Okay, tell me what do you mean by aperture? Aperture. Hole, very good. So in this occipital bone, which is like this, there is a aperture at the bottom. Can you tell me why do we have that aperture? Yes, very good. Because from there, the spinal cord will come out. I will just make a very short diagram. You have your brain, na? You would have studied thoda structure in your lower classes like this, right? So this is your brain. This part is called pons. This is cerebellum, and this is medulla oblongata. Right? Now just think, this whole brain, it is present inside this skull, inside all this cranial bone, right? So this medulla oblongata is the one which continues to form your spinal cord, right? Medulla oblongata, it continues to form what? It continues to form spinal cord, right? Now this spinal cord, it is a bony box. Now you have your this occipital bone over here. So how this spinal cord is going to pass through that bone? So this is the reason that this occipital bone, it has got a hole over there through which the spinal cord will pass through. Now there is a name for that aperture. What is the name? That name is foramen magnum. Right? So what is foramen magnum? It is a hole or aperture that is present in which bone? Quickly tell me. Which bone? Occipital bone. Right? And why it is present? So that the medulla oblongata, it can continue to form the spinal cord. Spinal cord is going to pass through that bone. Clear, everyone? Yes. Yes, I will change the color. Don't worry. I hope this foramen magnum is visible, what I have written. Yes? Okay. Fine, fine. So this is all about the cranial bones. Now can we talk about the facial bones? Yes, facial bones? Okay. So this is not required, so I'm just going to erase this part. Yes. So first what we are going to do, we are going to write the name of all the facial bones like we did for cranial. So now I am going to write all the facial bones, right? Okay. So facial bones we have maxilla, mandible. Heard of these two? Maxilla and mandible. Upper jaw, lower jaw. Upper jaw is maxilla. Lower one is mandible, right? Then there is one more bone, palatine. I'll tell you the locations one by one, right? Don't worry. Zygomatic bones, then nasal, lacrimal, then vomer, and then inferior concha. Inferior concha. Out of all this, it is just mandible and this vomer, which are one. Rest of them are two. So now first of all, count and tell me how many facial bones I have written. Count and tell. Yes, total it is. Very good. 14. Right? Total has become now 14. So 8 plus 14 is equal to how much? 8 plus 14. 22. So skull mein there are total 22 bones. Right? Now let's have a look at the location of all these facial bones. So for that I'm going to make a diagram very quickly. So if you want, you can also draw along with me to save the time. Are you all scared of skull? I hope not, because that is what, when you will go to medical colleges, you'll have to carry every day. Yes, so this is a very vague diagram, but it's fine. I hope you are just able to understand what I have made. Let me. Right? Okay, little bit, I think now you can understand. Okay, Chiki, thank you. I will show the previous slide also, don't worry. I am going to label all those names, all those bones over here also. Right? Skull is going to be afraid of you. That's what you are saying. Okay. So now let's see all the facial bones, right? One by one. Okay. So first I wrote about maxilla and mandible. So I'll tell you that only what I told you. Maxilla is the upper jaw and the mandible is the lower jaw. So lower jaw we have only one, this here. Hai? So let's label this as mandible. And this upper one, okay? Now see, mandible is only one, but maxilla, there are two bones here. There is a separation in between. So there are two bones in the upper jaw, right? So these two will make up maxilla. This is 2 and this is 1, right? Okay. Then next, so when you touch your cheeks over here, right? Over here, this cheekbone. This is also called cheekbone, right? This one. So this cheekbone is the very common name. But then what is the name of it? Actually, it is these two. These two are the cheekbones. So these are called zygomatic bones, and these are two on either side, right? On either side you have two cheeks, so two cheekbones. Yes. Okay. Then next let's go to the lacrimal. So have you heard about the lacrimal gland? What is lacrimal gland? Can anyone tell me? Lacrimal gland. Yes, tear gland. Very good. Yes. So here actually if we have one lacrimal gland over here above this eyes and one lacrimal gland here, right? This part. I'll show in the diagram. So near to this lacrimal gland, there are two bones like this. So these in pink, they are the lacrimal bones. So these are also two, one on either side, closer to the eyes, right? Okay. Then next I'll talk about some bones which are again not directly visible. We can mark it in the diagram. One we can mark it, that is the nasal bone, right? It is present on the top inside over here. Over here we have two bones which are called the nasal bones. So these are also two. And do you know what is our nasal septum? Where is the nasal septum? In between the two nostrils we have nasal septum. That is not bone. This nasal septum, it is not bone. Behind that we have a bone that is called vomer. So I am going to show it here, right? So it is just one. So that is vomer bone. Right? Now there are two bones which are present inside the nose, not exactly inside the nose. See, understand, if you see inside the nose, anyway we can't see it directly, it is the internal picture that I'm telling you. It is not a straight path. Okay? Inside that nasal cavity, it is not a straight path. How that path is, it is like this, right? It is not a straight path, it is curved. So over there we have two bones which are called, we cannot label that over here, so I am just going to write it in the side. They are called inferior concha. They are present inside, difficult to label in this facial diagram, right? Then two more bones are there, that is, which bone is left? Palatine. Now palatine, again go with the word. Palatine indicates which part of the mouth? Palatine indicates which part of the mouth? What is palate? So where is this palate? The roof of our buccal cavity. This is inside the mouth. We have this buccal cavity, the top portion that you can touch with the help of your tongue. Behind the teeth, right? There is soft palate, and after that there will be hard palate. So to that palate, the bone that is attached, that bone is palatine bone. Right, that bone is palatine. Yes, but internally, Pranita, internally, we cannot directly write above the jaw. So we can say that it is associated with the roof of our buccal cavity, the palate of our buccal cavity. Ashish, there is no bone that separates these two. Harshita, it is not exactly in the septum, behind the septum. It is a hard structure. Nasal bones, Pujita, they are there, present inside the nasal cavity. And inside the nasal part they are present. If you can't touch and feel it from here. Inferior concha, again it is present inside. As I told you, if you go inside the nasal cavity, there the path is not straight, right? The path is quite curved. So in that path we have two bones which are called inferior concha, or they are also known as inferior turbinals. Because Adhya, it is attached to the skull part, the cranium part. It is attached to that cranium part. Right, so I think I have almost labeled all the 14 bones. All the bones are done for facial bones. Yes? Facial bones done. So don't worry, I'll display this diagram once again, and also again you can see it in YouTube, right? So there again you can copy from there and write it. So someone wanted to see this slide. Harini, yes. You wanted to see this slide, right? Siva, you can mention inside the nasal cavity, that's fine. Yes, I think the mobile name is written Xiaomi. It will be provided to you. Yes, Danish, thank you. Yes, done everyone? So along with this, I told you, there are some associated bones also. So now let's do those bones. So now we are going to talk about the associated bones. So first I am going to tell you about, let's talk about the bones in the ear. They are called ear ossicles. Can you name them quickly? Ear ossicles. Ear ossicles. Oh, who is telling pinna? Pinna, nahi, pinna doesn't have bone. Yes, I'm getting the answer. Stapes, malleus, and incus. Right? Out of these, the smallest one, quick, this to everybody will know. Stapes, hai na? Yes. So these three are the bones in our ear. So one ear has 3. So 2 ears will have in total 6. We have 2 ears, na? So there, Now how these bones are present, let me just show you in a diagram. Quickly, I'm going to make one small diagram. Yes, so this is your pinna. That is not bone. Okay? This is pinna. Now, through pinna, there is this auditory canal inside. I'm just drawing the structure of ear, right? Now here you have a small structure that is eardrum, right? Eardrum. Then you have those 3 bones. So this is the first bone, like this, having a structure like this. It has a structure like this, right? The second bone, which is associated with it, somewhat it has a structure like this. And then there is this third bone like this. Then you have another part of the ear like this. Yes, so this is actually the structure of your ear. Now this part, this in blue, it is the internal ear. Then the one that I have shown in yellow, it is the middle ear where you have the bones, and then this white, it is your external ear. So pinna, auditory canal, important right now are these three bones, right? So this first bone, it is the malleus. Second one here, this is incus, and this third one here, it is stapes. Now there are other names also, right? Do you know those other names for these three? Malleus, it has a shape like that of hammer. Can you see it in the diagram? It has a shape like that of a hammer. That's why it is also called hammer. Then incus, incus has got anvil shape. Do you know what is anvil? Anvil. Have you ever visited a cobbler? Cobbler. A cobbler is the person who, repairs the shoes. Have you ever seen a cobbler shop? So they will have something like one equipment which is made up of iron. It is very heavy, where they will keep the shoes like this and then they will do their stitching work. Have you seen that? Yes, so that is called anvil. So if you see the structure of this incus, it is like that anvil. That's why it is given that name. And stapes, the other name is stirrup. What is stirrup? What is stirrup? Everybody is writing that, but then what it is? What is stirrup? Okay, it is the smallest bone, fine. But then what is that stirrup? What structure is it comparable with? Yes, it is that horseshoe. Have you seen horses? Yes. Yes. They will have stirrup, which is having a shape like this. Very precisely like this. Right? So because its shape is comparable to that stirrup, it is also called as stirrup. But then if we talk about the correct biological names, it is malleus, incus and stapes. So these are the bones associated with the ears. Right? Okay, then there is one more. Let's discuss that also. It is a part of the skull. Okay, so that is hyoid bone. Heard of this bone? Hyoid bone. It's just one in our body. Hyoid bone. Heard of hyoid bone? No? Okay. So one special point about this. First thing is, it is a U-shaped bone. And second thing, it is the only bone that is not associated with any other bone. Understood? If you see the other bones in the body, they are connected to some other bone. Like for example, skull only we have seen so many bones and they all are connected to each other. Facial also, all these bones are connected to each other. If I talk about hands, all these bones are also connected to each other. But hyoid bone is the only bone that is not connected to any other bone. Yes, I'm going to tell you where it is located. So it is actually located, I'll show it in the diagram better. So you know tongue, where is tongue attached? Can you tell me? Yes, tongue is attached from which part? Tongue is no, it is not attached to esophagus. Floor of buccal cavity, no? Somewhere. Here you have that hyoid bone, U-shaped bone, and to this bone, like this, the tongue is attached. Understood? No, frenulum is different. Right? Understood the location now? So it is the bone that is not attached to any other bone. It attaches what? It attaches the tongue, and we all know that tongue is a muscle, है ना? Yes, it is made of muscle. So that is about the hyoid bone. So we have only one hyoid bone in the body. No, they are not opposites. They are different. ठीक है? They are different bones. Hyoid, sphenoid, they are different bones. Sphenoid is a part of cranium, cranial bone, right? Hyoid is a bone which is single. It is located, huh? Because it is a part of the face only, na? I think Charan has asked this doubt. Yes, it is a part of the face only. That's why. Not exactly middle, upper part, SMK upper part, okay? It is attaching the tongue, Pranita. Definitely it is useful. Otherwise, which structure is there to attach to the tongue? It is free on this end, na? So it is attached to the hyoid bone. No, Kartikeya. That is again different thing. Yes, bones are living structures, Maitri. Remember that day we discussed this, all these osteocytes, all those cells are living cells. That's how they grow, na? It is a living structure, that's how it grows. It is easy, Sharmishta. It is first time, that's why you might find it difficult, but then it's easy. If you keep on revising, you can remember very easily. Yes, in the ear we have the smallest bone. Correct. Right? So now can we just calculate all the bones over here of the skull? So first there were, let me go back to those slides. Yes, 22 skull bones and then these associated bones. So 22 plus 7, right? How much? Yes, do the maths. Yes, 29. Yes. Right? Now we'll move to the next one, that is vertebral column. Right? Now let's move to, now this full skull is done. Now we are going to move towards the vertebral column. Right? So vertebral column, anyway, easy it is. So this is also known as the backbone. Right? Vertebral column, also known as the backbone. Now this vertebral column, okay, first I am again going to write the name of the vertebrae. So vertebral column, just remember it is not a single bone. There are many small bones that are attached. Like this is one bone, another bone, another bone, another bone. Like that, so many bones are there. And in between these bones, do you know what is this blue colored structure I am drawing? That is cartilage. And these structures, they are called vertebrae, right? In the vertebral column, so many bones are present. Those bones are called vertebrae, and in between all those vertebrae, what do we have? We have cartilage. Now this cartilage is responsible for, providing us this partial flexibility. Like when we are standing like this, we can bend forward, we can bend backward also. Just think, if vertebral column, it was single bone, so can you bend like this? No, you will be like robots, right? So just because there is this cartilage present in between the vertebrae, we are able to bend backward and forward, right? Okay, now vertebrae. Let's talk about these bones which are vertebrae. So we have first 7 as cervical vertebrae. How many are there? 7. Then thoracic vertebrae. How many are there? 12. Then lumbar, 5. Sacrum. Actually, these are 5, but then after fusion, they make up one bone. And then finally, coccygeal. So these are also actually 4, but then they fuse to make up only one bone, right? They fuse to make up only one bone. So now quickly tell me how many bones. Don't include this few unfused wala. Include this one because later on they are getting fused only, na, so they are like one bone. Yes. So now the total is 26. So just add 29 plus 26. 29 plus 26. Yes, okay. So I think I have given a very simple addition problem, and there also I can see variety of answers. What is happening? What is happening? Okay, we'll come back to that point again. But yes, before that, something I want to tell you over here, right? So all these are small, small like vertebrae which are there in our vertebral column. Now cervical vertebrae, it is there in our neck. This neck part, it is having 7 vertebrae which are cervical vertebrae, and in this cervical vertebrae, the first 2 bones are called atlas and axis. At least remember the name of these two. You don't have to remember any of the other names. I mean, you have to remember these, but not these. But for cervical, just remember the first and the second bone, that is called atlas and axis. Right? Okay. Now, can you think and tell me, atlas will be associated with which cranial bone? Atlas will be associated, see here you have skull, from here vertebral column is there. So atlas, which, very good, very good. Occipital bone. So I told you today that here we have occipital bone, and in this occipital bone, suppose this is a very random structure I have drawn. Here you have what? Here you have the foramen magnum. That is nothing but that is the hole through which the spinal cord is coming out. Now, besides this foramen magnum, there are 2 protrusions, right? Here and here. There are 2 protrusion. Protrusion means an outgrowing structure. So now these 2 protrusions, they are called condyle. And because they are present on the occipital bone, that's why they are called occipital condyle. Okay? Don't think so much, it's very easy. This is your occipital bone from below. Okay? Here there is one hole through which the spinal cord will come out. And on the side of the hole, there are 2 protruding, that means outgrowth, which are called condyle. Because they are on the occipital bone, they are called occipital condyle. So on these 2 protrusions only this atlas bone will be attached, and from there you have the vertebral column that is present. Understood this part? Occipital bone has 2 condyles. From there only you have this whole vertebral column that is attached. And the first bone is atlas, so obviously atlas will be attached to the occipital bone. Now I'm going to tell you one very interesting part. Why the first bone is called atlas bone? Does anybody know this? Why the first bone is called atlas bone? Have you heard that story? That Atlas had to carry the earth on the shoulders. Many images you can see. Many images you can see on the Google. There's some story, na? That Atlas had to carry. He was a person and he had to carry the whole earth on his shoulder. Right? So here, atlas bone, the first cervical vertebrae, it is carrying the whole skull. Yes or no? Because it is associated with the occipital bone through which it is carrying the whole skull. That is why the name that is given to the first vertebrae is atlas. Understood why it is given the name atlas? Earth, Khyati. Earth. The story that I have heard, it is that he carried the whole earth on his shoulder. You can also find some pictures of it in Google. Yes. So now because this atlas bone of your vertebral column is the one which is carrying the whole cranium, whole skull, that's why it is given the name atlas, right? So that way also you can remember. Who is that person? It's okay, we don't have to go in that detail. What I want you to do is remember this why it is called atlas. That's what I want you to remember, right? Okay, so in vertebral column, nothing you have to do. You just have to remember only the name of these bones and their count, right? What is the role of vertebral column? Can you tell me? One, I already told you, I think, that inside the vertebral column, spinal cord is present. So it protects spinal cord, right? So here inside all this vertebral column, actually they together form a canal. So through that the spinal cord passes through. So it is going to protect the spinal cord. Plus it also provides site for attachment of ribs. So with this we come to ribs. So do you all know rib cage? So front में तो it is associated, the ribs, they are associated with the sternum. But what about the dorsal portion? So in the dorsal portion, in between vertebral column is there and it is providing attachment site for the ribs. Yes, posture, yes, that is also correct. The cartilage which is present, Meena, that is providing the flexibility. Clear? Vertebral column? Yes, you can just note down. So rib cage probably will start in the next class. Sternum is just one single flat bone. So you can add that over here. And yes, in the next class we'll do rib cage and also the other girdles and the bones of limbs. Right? Condyle, Sindhura, they are two outgrowths of the occipital bone. Here there is occipital bone in between one hole and then two protruding structures. To those structures, the vertebral column, the atlas is attached. Right? That is condyle. Don't think it is very complex. It is very easy. Outgrowth in that bone, outgrowth. Yes, yes, Anaya, that's correct. Yes, it is one bone. 5 bones, they are fused to make up one bone here. They fuse to make up one bone. No, no, Maitri. It is just one bone that has all those structures. Occipital is just one bone. In between you have a hole and the other two sides you have the protrusion. Anya, which bone you are talking about? What is CBS, Chandana? What you have written? It is the second, atlas is the second vertebral column. In cervical you have 7, so I just told you to remember the first and the second vertebral column. So that is atlas and axis. Just remember the name of these two. That would do. Yes, yes, yes. Now I think you can see the board. Take the screenshot. That is fluid. Pujita. It is present in our brain and also spinal cord. No, Oppo. It is not epiglottis. It is epiglottis is different. It is made up of cartilage. Yes, Shamishta, that you have to calculate. That you have to calculate. And also the calculation will continue in the next class. Yes, yes, the class is over. I was just waiting. Some students wanted to take screenshot and I was looking at your doubts. So I hope it's done and tomorrow we'll continue with the rib cage, right? Till then, I want all of you to calculate now properly how many bones we have done, right? Calculate the number. Skull diagram, okay. Yes, so this is the skull diagram. You can make a note of it, right? This one or the previous one? This one or the previous, because this is a cranial. Okay, okay, fine, fine. Chalo, class, bye, thank you.